Good evening. I'd like to call to order the board meeting of October 15th of the Santa Barbara Unified School District Board of Trustees, our special meeting. So I'm going to, just before we get started on that, I want to make some clarifications of what we're doing this evening. So I want to welcome everyone and thank you for being here. Before we hear your comments, and we do have the slips here, I'd like to remind everyone that the item on the agenda for the board review with regards to the employee to be reviewed, the superintendent, the board is just going to review and discuss the superintendent evaluation. In other words, our work in closed session tonight will relate specifically to completing his evaluation. So we're going to discuss and review it. So there will be no action taken on that. So I want to be real clear about that. So I don't want you staying for 2 hours and expecting that there's going to be a report out with regards to his evaluation. So we will now take your comments. No, don't.
Okay, I think we have 9 speakers. Thanks everyone for being here. There we go, number 10. We will start first with Moni DeWitt. You have 3 minutes, Ms. DeWitt, and you know the drill. I'll give you a very polite 30-second warning. Thanks so much. And please, even though I've said your name, for the sake of the public, if you could say your name as well.
Hi, my name is Moni.
Thank you.
And yes, I have been here several times. I'm actually an advocate for the dyslexics in the community. And although I'm aware that the district is focused on equity and cultural proficiency, somehow in their idea of equity and diversity, they've completely forgotten about the neurodiverse. And with dyslexia, it's not only the challenges of phonemic awareness, goes much deeper. We actually have a different shaped brain and we have great strengths, but sadly, for most dyslexics, if they don't have intervention by the first grade, intensive intervention, much more strong than the current pull-out programs that we have, then they can hope to make the gains by the 3rd grade, which is the national standard. So I would hope that we could all work towards the national standard, and to do that, we have to early assess our students. And I've been up here many times saying that we are out of compliance with the law, free and appropriate education. And we have about 400,000 people here, 28,000 are in deep poverty in this county. And people in deep poverty who don't have literacy, they wind up in the juvenile justice system. And you can ask Fran Wagonack about the truancy and how it switches from education to justice system. So we need to stop school to prison pipeline. Got to get on it by the 1st grade. We're so not on it. And you did throw Sherry Ray, our gold star advocate, under the bus. And I'd like to see her come out from under the bus and be celebrated. You know, and I would like, if just communities can, we should priorities for literacy first. It's a human right. And we're spending like $40 million on a football field that has 500 less seats. We've got a $260 million armory, 26.5, sorry. And it feels like we're real estate dealers. And the worst scores are the people of learning differences, minus 113. And, you know, your people were celebrating the incremental change. That's like Bob Dylan would say, you're down so low, you can only go up from here, you know? We need a lot more than just, and that's year after year. I've heard her now 2 years in a row, happy with pockets of hope and puddles of little glimpses of steps. So this is like so out of compliance. I want you to look to UCLA.
30 seconds.
They have a site, and also Yale. Dr. Sally Shaywitz, the action gap, got to get on it. And I would evaluate along those lines because we're not looking good. We've gotten worse. Thank you.
I want to remind us, still is our meeting. We want to be respectful of making sure that we can do about the business without the cheering and that sort of thing. We're going to keep it respectful.
Okay, next we have Ron Litke, followed by Audrey, I'm sorry, I can't read your name, Netzinger, I believe. Oh, sure.
Good evening, board. My name is Ron Lichty. I'm here to speak about item B2, the extension of the contract for the superintendent, and I'm just here to advocate for not extending it at this point. The reason being that one of performance, again, this is, I echo the previous speaker, the literacy rates from what we see from the latest statistics you gave out, where 54% of our students were literate or were meeting California standards. And I feel that preparing the students, I'd like your new mission statement. It's sweet, simple, makes a point. We, that's everybody involved, helping, prepare, what are you doing? Students who are directing that, a world that's yet to be created is the problem. What about saying we prepare students for meeting California standards? That is what I would be focusing on, and that's why it's a matter of performance that I'd like you to. It's been 3 years, and it seems like all of you would be focusing 100% to get those up. And I'd like you to see more attention to that. So thank you for listening to my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll next hear from Sheridan Rosenberg, followed by Justin Tuttle, followed by Gregory Gandrud.
Hello, my name is Sheridan Rosenberg, and thanks for giving us the opportunity actually to come out and speak tonight, because I think that we can all agree, all of us have very full lives. We have a lot going on. We own businesses, we work full time, we raise our kids, but the fact that we're showing up here is really out of love. And I really think it's time for some tough love. And those board members that are even inclined to extend this contract, I would really encourage you to have the courage to do the right thing. Because the way the community perceives this is that no matter what happens, no matter how bad it gets, or no matter how bad it is, you're just going to rubber stamp this all the way through. And it's just become so deeply unfair to everyone, to the kids, to the parents, even to you. So obviously, I encourage you not to extend the contract and to do the right and courageous thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Justin Tuttle, again, followed by Gregory Gandrud, followed by Denise Adams.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Justin Tuttle. I'm a parent of students in the district, and I am here tonight to implore you to not extend the contract. Superintendent Matsuoka's managerial performance since his last extension has been abysmal, presiding over educational decay and conflict, but not educational excellence. Even if you choose to ignore the 800 signatures, which I submit is a community mandate, please do consider the students, 6,000 of which are not proficient in math or reading. Please do consider the families like myself that send our children to school expecting to get an appropriate education, for goodness sakes. And please do consider the approximately 1,800 Santa Barbara Unified School District employees, many of which report a deep culture of fear and retaliation under his regime and are hesitant to fill out the district surveys, worried IP addresses are tracked and reported to him by ETS Chief Todd Rickman or subject to a public records request disclosing. And while you're at it, please consider the Matt Academy fiasco, the gate mess, the increasing litany of lawsuits and the increasing litany or the increasing legal fees that you're expending to the law firm. I'd also ask you to consider the $10 million budget shortfall, which he's part of, the $600,000 hit to the general fund for the mismanaging the school meal program, packed classrooms with high student-teacher ratios, political patronage appointments to his executive team, a duck, cover, and blame others management style, burying the criminal and employment investigations in-house, the failure to implement best management practices, as well as the dismal performance results under his reign. Considering he already has 2.5 years left, it makes absolutely no sense to extend it now. If anything, you will be gifting him a massive golden handshake today or at the next board meeting should the 2020 election change the board configuration and the support that he has. I ask you to consider not only your fiduciary duties, but your ethical responsibilities to this school district and do not abandon them. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gregory Gandrud, followed by Denise Adams, followed by Ellen Warren.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm Gregory Gandrud. I'm a member of Fair Education Santa Barbara, representing hundreds of concerned parents and taxpayers in this district. We seek to make sure that every child in the district receives a top quality education regardless of their background or country of origin or color of their skin. I believe that the legislature of this state intended that the public be able to have maximum participation in this school district process of decision making, and I think the public's very poorly served by having an emergency meeting, 24 hours notice during a federal holiday. Makes it hard for people to show up and participate in a meaningful way when there's such short notice. And I can see, if there's an emergency situation, I understand that an employee might be fired tonight. I can understand that, but this discussion of Mr. Matsuoka's contract, where he has over 2 years before it's going to expire, that's hardly an emergency. And I think it's really inappropriate that the board would attempt to discuss this. Now, personally, I don't think his contract should be renewed at all, given all the reasons that other people have already stated here this evening, that there's been such poor performance. But, I mean, to have an emergency meeting and discuss something that isn't even going to happen potentially for over 2 years, again, it's just really unseemly. And as other speakers have pointed out, it's really important that the board focus on improving the literacy for students, especially the special needs students in this district, so that they really have a chance to succeed in life. Thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you. Denise Adams, followed by Ellen Warren, followed by, I just have the first name
Good
of
evening,
Greg.
Board. I'd like to underscore what Mr. Goodfield just said. To call a meeting on short notice after not only a holiday, but in the middle of the Democratic debates, it shows a commitment for people to come. You've heard my story before. I've been here for 40 years, and the last good superintendent we had was Michael Caston and Debbie Flores. I'm very concerned that the board and the superintendent don't care about students. Nothing has changed in my neighborhood. Cleveland School, 13% proficiency. All students deserve to be able to read. All students deserve to be able to do math. Nothing's changed on Eucalyptus Hill where I live. Nothing. We come, and I would love to show you about 60 emails I got today. Everybody said, why are you even bothering to go? Because nothing ever changes. What do you expect? More of the status quo? You can do better. Things can change. Look at what happened at Adams School. You get a good principal in there, you can get change. Those kids, the scores went up to 56% proficiency. I'm all about facts, analysis, results, and return on investment. I've told you before at past meetings, I'm known as a monster mom. I'm known on the east side as a monster parent. Because when Cleveland doesn't perform, and we had Jerry Fawcett here, I could take those kids out, get them over to the Hope District, get them private scholarships, and get them out of your system. These kids at Cleveland, the parents, I go to the graduation, we teach the parents how to be an American parent. And I want to tell them the truth. If you want to be a good American parent, get them out of Cleveland School. Because at Cleveland School, they don't have a chance. I go and I buy miners' headlamps for them because I know many of them live 5, 6 in a little tiny studio apartment so that they have a chance to learn to read. I get them Kumon math. It doesn't matter. If the district doesn't want those kids educated, if you all don't want them educated, the people got behind Kate Ford because finally we felt like we had a candidate who knew education, and we went all full throttle. I think you got like 15,000 votes because people were committed to you because we wanted to see change. And the superintendent, your elementary person is as bad as the last one. Robin, I just saw her at
30
Home
seconds.
Improvement.
30
Again,
seconds.
if you don't have leadership at the top, children respond to expectation. The minority students at Cleveland, Franklin, and McKinley and Harding, they deserve a chance. So please, leadership. And this mission statement's got to go. A world yet created, a world of indoctrination. I want kids who can read and kids who can do math.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have Ellen Warren, followed by, I only have a first name here of Greg, so we need a last name there.
Hello, thank you. It was interesting to hear at the last board meeting I attended, which was 2 meetings ago, that the board and superintendent responded to criticisms that have not yet been leveled at them. Superintendent Matsuoka centered his comments on defending supposed attacks on district teachers, when in actuality, the majority of comments and criticisms, specifically the original lack of competitive bidding and obtaining racially divisive services, those comments have been geared towards saving the district money, specifically from its LCAP budget, not spending, and certainly not against any teachers. The only way I could interpret those comments being interpreted as attacks on teachers is if Jared Schwartz, the subject of much criticism from our quarters, was considered a teacher. But he is not in actuality a teacher, nor are the minors and others who have been trained to conduct talking in class in the classrooms. In that same vein, ABC News has reported on the non-functioning public address systems at the site of the Parkland, Florida school shooting. The non-working PA system is thought to have specifically been connected to the deaths of 3 of the teenage victims. No one disputes that a PA system is only one component of a school security plan, but it's pretty patronizing to imply that we're asserting otherwise. Until you institute another kind of safety plan, you should make all the PA systems work in the interim. A single day could change everything. Carrie Matsuoka suddenly announced the school district priority of equity work back in April of 2017. In a rambling speech, he stated, and I quote, and I transcripted this from the board meeting minutes, "In terms of helping us overcome our bias and attitudes, I've not seen that," meaning calling people racist, "to be an effective teaching strategy. You can make it a little softer by saying that the institutions, that we have institutional racism, so now it's depersonalized. The school's racist, but at least we're not calling you a racist." Well, I don't think that's enough as a strategy for the district going forward, and I will continue to contend that it is not the job of a school superintendent, or for that matter, a school board, to venture to discern the innermost thoughts and motivations of students and teachers, and to perpetuate the myth that we are indeed all racist. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Again, we have just the first name of Greg. You could state your name for the folks watching on the video, that'd be great. Followed by James Fechner, followed by Audrey Netzinger, if she's here. And that's our final speaker.
Okay. Hi, my name is Greg Hamill. Here to speak not about the performance. I mean, people documented or talked about the performance, but I'm concerned about the violation of law that has taken place in the Matt Academy incident. And the leader of the reconciliation is the superintendent. He's the leader of the whole thing. And it's most likely violated Penal Code 11164 with respect to mandatory reporting. 2 boys reported to you that they were, one, harassed. The other boy was smoking marijuana with one of your employees. And that requires a mandatory reporting to the police within 48 hours. If you don't do that, the penalty is 6 months in jail and up to $1,000 fine. And I think you know that. But you chose not to report those incidents to the police. You said you did, I'm going by the newspaper, so if I'm wrong, let me know. But the newspaper said you didn't report it, okay? And that's a violation of our penal code. And you should be brought up on charges for that. And maybe you will.
Excuse
eventually.
me, I am hearing this undertone of locking up, and that is very disrespectful.
Okay, I'll go on with my facts.
Thank you. I
Keeping it
didn't
to
want to
facts.
interrupt you, but that is
Yeah,
not okay.
I
Just want to address
understand.
that.
Shh, okay, shh. These are facts that I know from the newspaper. Now, if I'm wrong, you can clear the air immediately. But you did not report those 2 harassment issues as you were supposed to do by the mandatory reporting law. Okay, and it's a statute that everyone can read. You can Google it right now on your laptops, and it's not complicated, and you violated that. So I'm worried that if we give you an extension, you may have a lawsuit, and then it would embarrass the whole school system. It'll be in the news. The superintendent violated a law and got extension. So I don't think that's really smart to do. for our school district. And you're the leader.
30 seconds.
Okay. And the reason and then other people violated the law, but you're the leader and you lead by example. And so what are all the other employees supposed to think when you don't even follow the mandatory reporting law? Of course, they're not going to do it. So it creates this, you're just supposed to be a leader and do the right thing, and you messed up. So I just want everyone to know there's legal issues and performance issues.
Thank you. James Fechner, please.
Sorry. Hello, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. How is it that the superintendent's contract extension, an item that's been on the regular agenda for many weeks, suddenly moved to the special meeting requiring just 24 hours notice? Now, there's quite a few people here, but it's very difficult to come at such a short notice to attend and to participate. I'm kind of wondering if that was the point. As some former speakers have mentioned, this district feels Machiavellian. Whenever parents want to be more involved or request the curriculum that our students are being taught, the district plays this frustrating game of hide and seek. They hide it, we seek it. We are not here for hide and seek. As mentioned earlier, we're here for our kids. We're here for all the kids in this district. We want show and tell. Now, all board members need to show us what group they're serving. Is it the students, teachers, and citizens who virtually have no voice? Or is it the superintendent who has access to all your board emails and the time to whisper individually into each of your ears? Now, I feel sorry for this board after I looked at the board protocols. I don't understand how that actually comes into being, where you're responsible for this person's position, but they have all the information. In fact, when I went to school, we didn't have a mission statement like this. Our mission statement was, knowledge is power. At the last regularly scheduled meeting, I shared with you the objective, not subjective, but objective petition. We oppose any extension of Superintendent Gary Matsuoka's employment contract. Now, I've heard whispers that it's currently 840 signatures is just not enough. And perhaps that's right. But those 840 signatures are 840 more than any competing petition asking that his contract be extended. So please make the right choice. Rebuild trust in this district. Don't extend the contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last speaker, if she's arrived, is Audrey Netzinger. Okay. Well, that concludes public comment. President Sims-Moten.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Capps. So we will now adjourn to closed session to discuss items B1 and 2.